It starts in a silence so thick it hums. Not the peaceful kind of silence, but the aching, heavy kind that wraps around your chest like a question you're too afraid to ask out loud. You've been waiting. You've been hoping. And whether your prayers have been whispered in the early hours of morning or cried into the fabric of your pillow in the dead of night, they've all carried the same desperate plea: God, are you listening? There are moments when faith doesn't roar. It doesn't sing. It doesn't even whisper. It just aches. And in that ache, something divine begins to stir. This is not just another prayer. This is not a polite request wrapped in perfect words. This is the kind of prayer that scrapes against your soul as it leaves your lips. The kind you offer when your strength is gone and only surrender remains. And in this sacred surrender, you hear it, not in thunder, not in fire, but in the hush of a name that holds power beyond imagination: Our Lady of the Impossible. You pause. The name alone feels like a key to a locked room in heaven. Then another name rises, steady and bold: Saint Anthony. Something in your spirit shifts. These are not distant saints in stained glass. These are warriors of grace. Carriers of intercession. They have seen miracles unfold from the ashes of despair. They've heard the cries of the broken and responded not with delay, but with divine speed. And so you do the only thing left to do: you exhale. You unclench your fists. You let the walls fall. And you speak, not from a place of polished theology, but from raw, real need. Our Lady of the Impossible. Saint Anthony. I trust you to carry this request today. You don't have to scream it. You don't have to prove your worth. You just need to be honest. Because heaven doesn't respond to perfection. It responds to faith. Even bruised, bleeding, barely holding on faith. So you say it out loud. Or maybe you whisper it through tears. Either way, it becomes a declaration. A sacred contract in the spirit: I am tired, and I need a miracle. There's a sacred tremble in the air now. Because when you invoke the names of those who specialize in impossibilities, something begins to move. You may not feel it yet. You may still be sitting in the same room, with the same burdens. But spiritually, everything is shifting. Because you're no longer holding it alone. You're not begging. You're trusting. The unspoken weight you've tried to be strong. You've worn your best smile in front of others. You've pretended that it doesn't hurt this much. But the truth? You've been breaking quietly. Every text you didn't receive. Every door that stayed shut. Every tear you swallowed before sleep. Every promise you thought was coming that never showed up. This isn't about impatience. This is about survival. And that's why this moment matters so much. Because when you finally say, I can't carry this anymore, heaven doesn't rebuke you. Heaven rushes in. You are not being dramatic. You're being honest. Saint Anthony, the wonderworker, doesn't require eloquence. He responds to desperation wrapped in sincerity. And Our Lady, full of grace, doesn't need poetic prayers. She moves when her children are too weak to move themselves. This is that kind of moment. And you're not late. You're not too far gone. You're right on time. The names you whisper now, the names come easier: Mary, you who held the impossible in your womb, you who wept at the cross, and yet never stopped believing, I give you this request. Saint Anthony, you who find what's lost, restore what's broken, and respond to cries that go unheard by others, I entrust this to you. And for the first time in a long time, your soul breathes. You may not have the answer. But you've found the direction. The holy transaction. Heaven isn't transactional. But it is relational. When you speak to these holy intercessors, you're not bartering. You're inviting. You're opening space for divine intervention. And that invitation is what sets the miraculous in motion. I've carried this long enough. I place it now in your hands. Maybe it's a diagnosis. Maybe it's a financial crisis. Maybe it's a relationship that's falling apart. Maybe it's your own faith that's been hanging by a thread. Name it. Say it. Surrender it. Because what you release in trust, heaven catches in love. And that is where the story begins. It doesn't begin with thunder. It begins with a flicker. A small flame in the center of a soul that was nearly extinguished by exhaustion. You don't even notice it at first. But it's there. That quiet spark of belief that maybe, just maybe, heaven heard you. After all, how could you pour out that much of yourself and not be noticed? The holy ones don't ignore cries wrapped in surrender. No, they rush toward them. And so it begins, not with fanfare, but with movement. Subtle shifts. A sudden moment of clarity. A sense of peace that doesn't match your circumstances. That's when you know they've heard. Heaven has engaged. Mary, Our Lady of the Impossible, has received your plea. Saint Anthony has taken your words into his hands. And now, something is being set in motion. The hidden flame you wake up, and the problem still exists. But something is different. There's breath in your lungs. There's an unexplainable calm in your chest. The same world, the same waiting, but now, there's hope that breathes alongside your doubt. This is the sacred tension of faith, when nothing has changed yet, but your spirit begins to rise anyway. That's not delusion. That's divine. Miracles are not only the result. They are the process. Sometimes, the greatest miracle is when your soul gets back up after being knocked down 100 times. And it does. Because it knows who's holding it. The intercession begins in the unseen, prayers are being echoed. Saint Anthony is not pacing. He's moving. Mary is not waiting. She's working. They are lifting your request before the throne with the urgency of someone who knows time matters. And heaven is not passive. Heaven is leaning in. Right now, angels are being dispatched. Right now, resources are being aligned. Right now, answers are forming that will soon reach the surface. You don't see it yet. But you feel it. That's not coincidence. That's confirmation. The impossible is beginning to crack. Letting go of control this next part will be the hardest. You've trusted enough to ask. Now you must trust enough to wait. But waiting is not weakness. It's warfare. It's the holy work of staying in belief when nothing around you gives you reason to. This is where many walk away. But not you. You've been through too much. You've cried too long. You know what it's like to live without hope. And you're not going back. So instead of spiraling into fear, you anchor yourself in the promise. Not the promise of a specific outcome, but the promise that you are not alone in this. That every tear is collected. Every breath is counted. Every prayer is heard. And somewhere in the vastness of heaven, your request has landed in the hands of those who care. Sacred companionship. There's comfort in knowing you're not pleading alone. You are not forgotten in a sea of billions. You are not another number in the divine system. You are a child, and heaven remembers the sound of your voice. And now, Our Lady of the Impossible walks beside you. Saint Anthony stands in your corner. These are not just icons. These are intercessors. And their nearness makes all the difference. They don't just understand pain. They've carried it. They don't just know miracles. They've delivered them. And they are not afraid of your request. So let your faith burn. Let it spread like wildfire across the dry places in your soul. Because what was once ashes is being prepared for resurrection. And what was once impossible is becoming the very platform for God's glory. There are battles that rage silently. They do not shout. They do not bleed. But they wear down your spirit like waves crashing against the same stone, over and over. This is one of those battles. You've prayed. You've surrendered. You've cried and believed. And yet, the waiting lingers. It's not punishment. It's preparation. In the silence, something is being built inside you, a kind of strength that cannot be shaken by delay. A kind of faith that doesn't expire when the answer takes its time. You are being fortified for the miracle. Because when heaven answers, it's not just to change your circumstances, it's to prepare you for the weight of what's coming. The weight of waiting, it's heavy, isn't it? The in-between. The not yet. The holding on when your fingers are tired and your heart is worn. But look again. That ache in your chest. It's sacred ground. That unanswered prayer. It's the soil of divine growth. Because faith isn't just measured by joy. It's proven in the stretch. And you are stretching. Heaven sees. Mary stands near, whispering courage into your spirit. Saint Anthony guards the edges of your hope. They haven't left you. They've just gone deeper. Because the deeper the request, the deeper the intercession. The enemy of trust-doubt doesn't always scream. Sometimes it whispers. What if nothing changes? What if God doesn't hear you? What if you're forgotten? Don't listen. Those voices are not truth, they are tests. And the way you pass the test is not by pretending they don't exist, but by confronting them with the louder voice of faith. Speak it, I am not abandoned. My prayer is heard. This delay is not a denial. It's divine timing. And when you do, those lies begin to lose their grip. Because light always shatters the dark. The power of repetition. Don't stop praying. Don't stop declaring. Don't stop believing. There is power in the repetition. Not because God needs to hear it multiple times. But because you need to remind yourself of what is true. Each time you say it, the ground beneath your faith grows firmer. Each time you pray, heaven takes note. And one day, soon, you'll look back and realize it was the persistence that unlocked the promise. Heaven's movement behind the veil of time. Something is happening. You think nothing is shifting, but that's because miracles grow like seeds. First in the dark. Then in silence. Then all at once. Saint Anthony is not idle. Mary is not unaware. They are kneeling before the throne. Speaking your name. Presenting your plea. Heaven's scroll is opening. And your request is written in golden ink. It has not been missed. It has not been pushed aside. It has been prioritized. When breakthrough comes, it may come softly. It may come suddenly. But it will come. And when it does, it won't just fix a problem. It will testify to the power of belief. To the presence of unseen help. To the miracle-working love of a God who never forgot you. And when others ask how you made it through, you'll speak of the night prayers, the whispered names of Mary and Anthony, the quiet tears, and the bold declarations. You'll speak of grace that held you when nothing else did. And heaven will smile, because this is what faith looks like. You may not see them, but they're there. Standing at the edge of your bed as you sleep, whispering your name in heaven's throne room, shielding you from dangers that never even reached your awareness. The angels. God's hidden messengers. Heaven's protectors. Your unseen guardians. And right now, they are not idle. They are moving. Strategically. Silently. Supernaturally. Because your prayer has stirred the heavens. Sacred assignment. There are moments when prayer becomes more than words. It becomes a call. A summons. A spiritual declaration that mobilizes forces beyond our imagination. And that's what you did. When you spoke the names of Our Lady of the Impossible and Saint Anthony, the heavens responded. They didn't hesitate. Because faith activates favor. And desperation, when directed to God, summons angels. Right now, an angel is carrying your request in their hands. Not as a file in a stack, but as a sacred assignment marked urgent. Your tears were not overlooked. Your surrender was not ignored. It was honored. Heavenly delays aren't denials. Sometimes it feels like the answer is stuck in transit. Like the heavens received your cry, but the reply is taking too long. But here's the truth, God is never late. Angels are never lost. And prayers are never wasted. What seems like delay is often divine coordination. Heaven isn't just sending a solution. It's sending the best outcome, wrapped in protection, timing, and revelation. You've been surrounded this whole time. Remember those nights you felt completely alone? Those days you almost collapsed from emotional exhaustion. You weren't alone. You were surrounded. Surrounded by holy ones who stood watch over your spirit. Who whispered peace when your thoughts screamed chaos. You just didn't know it yet. But now, the veil is lifting. The spiritual realm is becoming more tangible. And you're beginning to understand, God never left you uncovered. The battle you didn't know you were winning. There were threats you didn't even see. Accidents that never happened. Deals that fell through because they weren't from God. You thought it was disappointment. But it was deliverance. You thought it was rejection. But it was redirection. Angels blocked what was meant to break you. They intercepted lies before they reached your heart. That's not superstition. That's divine strategy. The voice that breaks the silence. Now comes the turning point. Now comes the whisper of response. The divine cue that breakthrough is near. It may come through a conversation. A dream. A deep inner knowing. But you'll sense it, God is speaking. And when He speaks, mountains move. When He speaks, sickness flees. When He speaks, the impossible bows. So don't minimize this moment. Don't shrug off the tug in your spirit. Lean in. The angels are preparing the way. Saint Anthony is interceding. Our Lady is cradling your request in holy hands. Your only job now, stay open to how God wants to move. Stay open to what the miracle might look like. Stay open to being surprised by how fast things shift. It might not come through the door you expected. But it will come. And when it does, you'll know, this wasn't coincidence. It was divine. Heaven moved. And the impossible bowed. This is the part where something shifts. Not in heaven, that's already happened. But in you. Because miracles rarely just fall on us. They rise inside us first. The moment you whispered that prayer, something sacred ignited. But now, in this very breath, that flame becomes a fire. You were not forgotten. You may have waited for years. Seen others receive what you begged God for. Felt invisible while you served quietly, prayed faithfully, and cried silently. But heaven never forgot you. God never skipped your name. Sometimes, the ones who seem the most overlooked are the most deeply loved by God. Hidden not because they're unworthy, but because they're being protected until the exact moment of release. And this is it. This is the moment when the waiting starts to make sense. The answer won't just knock, it will flood in. Not every miracle drips slowly. Some come like rain after drought. The job. The healing. The restored relationship. The breakthrough in finances or family or faith. You've been planting seeds in silence. Now the harvest is rushing in. Not because of who you are, but because of who God is. And His goodness is not limited by your past, your failures, or your doubts. The miracle looks like you being you again. Do you know what true breakthrough looks like? Peace returning. Joy showing up again. Breath coming easier. The tension in your shoulders fading. The hope in your heart rising. God's miracle isn't always loud. Sometimes it's subtle and steady. But it changes everything. You wake up one day and realize the thing that used to paralyze you Doesn't anymore. The memory that once wounded you now reminds you how far you've come. That's healing. That's holy. That's divine. A closing prayer of surrender and trust. Our Lady of the Impossible, Saint Anthony, I close this with the same faith I began it. Maybe even more. Because now I'm not just hoping. I'm expecting. Now I'm not just wishing. I'm believing. You've taken my request. You've carried it. You've whispered it to the throne of the Almighty. And now I release the outcome. If it happens today, I praise you. If it happens next week, I praise you. If I have to wait a little longer, I praise you. Because either way, the miracle has already started. In me. Around me. Through me. I believe in the God who brings dead things back to life. I believe in the Savior who still moves stones. And I believe in the miracle that is now on its way. I trust you. I thank you. I will testify when it arrives. Amen. Epilogue. When it finally comes one day soon, you'll look back on this moment, this raw, uncertain, sacred moment, and you'll smile. Because what once felt like silence was actually strategy. What once felt like waiting was really preparation. And what you thought was impossible, it became your story. Your breakthrough. Your miracle. And you'll remember who you trusted. Not the world. Not your own strength. But the one who never fails. You will tell others. I prayed, I waited, and heaven answered. You'll carry that testimony not just in your mouth, but in your heart. And someone else, just like you once were, will hear it and believe again. And the cycle of hope will continue. Because miracles are meant to be shared. You've been heard. You've been held. You've been answered.